Welcome into the CLNS Roundtable discussion. I'm Jess Thomas, your host here. We have Ethan Winter, Lauren Campbell, Michael Satapani all on hand here on this Thursday morning to talk about who else but David Price. Guys, how you doing?
I'm doing well.
Doing good. I'm fired up now, but other than that, I'm great.
Yeah, I'm happy to bring our group chat discussion to the Roundtable forum.
That's right. That's exactly what we're doing. We were chatting this morning, and now we're gonna roll it out here. So, a couple things to note here. We're gonna be talking about David Price the whole time, and there's a couple things that have come out in the last day or so. Yesterday, Dan Shaughnessy had a piece in the Boston Globe where he went and talked to Price, and Price essentially just told him, "I'm not doing any more personal interviews. I'm done with that. I'm going to talk on game days, and that's it." And then basically he just kind of skirted around things and said, "Oh yeah, I love my fans. I love the players and the clubhouse. I love this. I'm at peace." But he said nothing about the fans. He clearly hates the fans. He clearly does not like it in Boston. That's painfully obvious. So that was that. And then that brought us into after last night's game, the 8-0 loss. And Price had pulled aside Evan Drellich, who literally only just posted quotes from what Price said to Shaughnessy. And then apparently he took Drellich into a room and started yelling at him, but people could hear it, and it was pretty bad. So then Steve Buckley of the Herald wrote an article talking to Price after that, and he said that you can write whatever the expletive you want, just write it, whatever the expletive you want. And then afterwards, right as he was leaving, he apparently yelled, expletive them all of them, talking about the media. So basically he just had a little child meltdown, went absolutely nuts. And if we didn't think it was bad enough before, now we have this. So go for it. Sound off, everyone.
Oh my God.
I'm gonna be the voice of reason here in this roundtable. And I'm just gonna say, first off, I think David Price is sounding off on the wrong guy in terms of Evan Drellich, because Drellich, he's largely been a guy that's defended or tried to defend Price. In his tweet, he was defending Price. In his latest article that he just wrote, he said Price's 3.39 ERA and 28 starts to end last season and his league best innings load are ultimately underappreciated. To me, that sounds like Drellich is trying to be on Team Price, but Price just didn't get that for whatever reason. And I don't understand why. I think there's plenty of other media members that he could have sounded off on, Shaughnessy, for example, other than Evan Drellich, because Drellich seems to be one of the only beat guys that's trying to defend him.
It just drives me nuts because he had a meltdown over a tweet, and we just, we had all discussed this yesterday, that he was getting better with Twitter and this and that, and then all of a sudden he comes out and he's like, F them, F this. Like, it's stupid because it makes him look bad, and he wants the fans on his side. This is not the way to do it. And like Jess, you said, he's obviously miserable here, and the more he shows that, the more the media will still hound him, the more the fans will turn against him. It's only a matter of time before the guy starts getting booed in his starts. And you know what? Like, if you're gonna act like a child, you have to deal with the repercussions that are gonna come. He's not a rookie pitcher. He's a veteran. He's been in this league for a number of years. He's been in the American League. He knows that Boston is a different type of market. And if you're just not mentally strong enough to be here, then just admit it. Don't be a pansy and act like this, because it drives me absolutely nuts. Especially, we've had Evan Drellich on our show before. He's great. Don't sound off on somebody who is defending you, because then again, you still look worse. Like, just go out there and pitch. That's all we want you to do, is just go out there and pitch.
Price, get off Twitter, dude. Why do you have to even stay on Twitter? Like Lauren just said, we talked about him on Twitter yesterday. We talked about it on Twitter last year. Just get off Twitter. Why are you searching your name on Twitter? Why do you have to look at your mentions or people tweeting back at you? You don't need to do that. You should be above that. And if you don't want to talk to the media besides on the days that you pitch, that's fine. I have no problem with him doing that. Not a single bit. Like, I remember during spring training, someone approached Chris Sale and he didn't want to speak to the media, and he just politely declined. That's all you have to do, David. Just politely decline. It's okay. The media's not going to get upset. They might tweet out and say Price declined to speak to the media, which is fine. But he declined to talk to Pawtucket after his horrible start in Pawtucket, and now he's declining to talk to the media again, and then he searches himself on Twitter and then cusses out the media. Why do you have to bring so much attention to yourself? Like Lauren said, just go out there and pitch well, and that's all people care about in Boston. If you pitch well, you'll be fine.
Well, that's the thing that's funny to me is that as part of the Shaughnessy article, he talked about Twitter, and he said, quote, "I don't open up Twitter and read notifications. That's not what I use it for. I can reply to 4 or 5 responses in 30 seconds. So he's basically saying, I don't open Twitter all the time. I don't respond that much. It takes no time. And then this happens, and then he talks about how he sees this on Twitter, and now he's going off on Drellich. It's like, get your story straight. He can't seem to put the pieces together of like, this happens, and then people respond this way, and then this happens. He just keeps fueling everybody's fire, and then, saying F you to the media. Like, I mean, obviously, the media is the media, but that's not a good way to get on the fan side in Boston. People are going to see this. Like, I'm upset by it. Like, I'm having trouble rooting for the guy because knowing that he's doing this stuff and knowing that he's just being a child all this time. I mean, how can you root for that? Like, it's not even like a baseball thing. It's like a person thing. Like, he is literally like being a little child, and he's not a child.
And as a general rule of thumb, I think Twitter for professional athletes is probably a bad idea because all you're going to get are the haters and the trolls in your mentions, and it's just bad news.
Well,
yeah.
I'll go back to, I've mentioned this before, that you see people like David Price on Twitter who, don't even get me started. I know this guy searches his names and looks at his mentions just by how he acts on this. But you see how he responds to people, or you see how it affects him. But I'll go back when John Lester signed with the Cubs, and people were angry, of course, in Boston that he signed with the Cubs, and people were like, you suck, F you, and he's like, well, I'm sorry you feel that way. But he was just so like gracious the way he went about it. Obviously, it didn't mentally affect him because he went out there and won a World Series and pitched out of his mind while he's been over there. And then you have people like David Price who just can't mentally get past people saying bad things about him. It's like, oh, mommy, like, he said something mean to me. Like, okay, get over it. You're 30, 31 years old. Like, it's time to grow up. And just like you said, it's hard to root for him. I don't want him to go out there and pitch bad. I want him to succeed here. I really do. But it's hard for me to get past that. He doesn't like the media. He's obviously very unhappy here. There was an article that came out before the season started that he wasn't smiling a lot. He wasn't having a lot of fun. Well, that's on you, dude. Like, pitch better. That's all it is. Like, you can have a crappy season, or not like your best season, and still have fun. Like, it's baseball. You're getting paid millions on millions of dollars, and you're not having fun. Like, get out of here. That blows my mind. Like, 17 wins last year, whatever. Have fun going out there, whether you pitch well or not. And it does get harder to root for him because
he just can't help himself, though. He can't help himself. Like, he even tweeted last year after the season when he was in Hawaii. Oh, can't lose a playoff game in Hawaii. Like, why do you need to post that stuff, David Price? Just stop. Don't worry about social media. If you want to have Twitter, Price, fine. I get it. You want to have Twitter. And if you want to post about charities and you want to post about your adorable dog, Astro, by all means, do that on your personal account. But don't look at the mentions. Don't respond to fans. And don't respond to the criticism. And you're saying you don't want to talk to the media, yet you go on Twitter and search what the media is saying about you, like Jess said earlier. Get your facts straight, David Price. Just go out there, pitch well. If you pitch bad, own up to it, say I didn't have my stuff tonight, I'm going to work to improve next start. Fine, boom. I hate to keep comparing him to Chris Sale, but Sale came in here and, I mean, he hasn't been pitching that well, and he's been admitting it, saying, I got to pitch better, I got to do what I can to help my team succeed. But he doesn't have anything else, background issue to talk about. Like, he's not blowing up on the media, and he's not, sitting there on Twitter. He doesn't even have a Twitter, which is the best thing he can do for himself.
And honestly, I think you can turn off mentions on Twitter. Like, he can do that so he doesn't have to deal with all the crap that the trolls and the haters have to say about him. Also, David Price is the same. He considered quitting baseball when he was at Vanderbilt to work at a McDonald's. Like,
what?
I mean, he to me, it seems like he only plays baseball because he's good at it, not because he loves the game. I mean, I think he loves the game, but someone that loves the game wouldn't say something like that where they would consider quitting playing baseball just to work at a McDonald's flipping burgers. Like, that doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, he never should have signed here. I mean, he should have known this when I think it's pretty clear at this point, seeing a lot of guys who have failed in Boston, that it's not an easy place to play. And I think after all the years that Price pitched, he probably could have realized, I'm probably not the best candidate for Boston. If he knows that he is sensitive, if he knows that he likes Twitter, if he knows that, he doesn't deal well when fans get on him, you got to know all this stuff before you come here. And he had plenty of options of teams to go to. So he really just should, money aside, screw money. I don't care. I don't care about money. He should not have come here because of this. And this is just going to snowball. It's been snowballing for a while, and now he's just ramping it up. When you start throwing your F-bombs in there, when you start throwing, all the stuff that he's saying, that's just a perfect recipe to just run yourself right out of Boston as fast as you can. And I wouldn't be surprised if it starts to happen, because people are going to start calling for him to get rid of him, because you can't just keep this up and expect nothing to happen.
Look, I'm glad that David Price signed with the Red Sox, because I think he's a good pitcher. He didn't have quite as good of a year as a lot of fans hoped, but he still had a pretty good year. 17-9, a sub-4 ERA, even though it was just barely under 4. I mean, he still had a pretty good season last year. The Red Sox wouldn't have won the division without him. Like Drellich said, he finished the season strong with a 3.39 ERA in his last 28 starts. That's pretty much a season's worth of pitching right there for a starting pitcher. But he just needs to put the blinders on. He needs to go 0 dark 24 or whatever and turn off social media and just focus on pitching. And I hope he goes well and does well. And I hope he just goes on a run after this blow up.
I know, I do too. I hope he uses this as motivation, but it just gets to a point where we know he's not mentally tough. I don't want to say he's not mentally tough enough to pitch in Boston yet, but it's really starting to feel that way. I hope he goes out there and pitches out of his mind. I hope he doesn't get shelled tonight, especially by the Yankees. It's the last thing this guy needs. But, I mean, my final thought on this whole thing is this would not be an issue if we just signed Johnny Cueto like I wanted to. I still want this guy here. I don't care that he sucks this year. Like Mike said in the chat, it's an odd year, so Giants are iffy this year. But I wanted Cueto here so bad, and I don't think this would be an issue. We'd have his kind of thing going on when he posts on Instagram. We'd have his little shimmy, and it was just so much better. So I wanted Cueto here, not David Price, but that's just me.
All right, my final thoughts quickly will just be, as Jess said, I don't think Price is cut out for the Boston market. There was a report last year that he wanted to sign with St. Louis, but since the Red Sox offered him $30 more million, he decided to come to Boston. So if that was the case, he should have just went to St. Louis. But Price, you have the opportunity now to shut everyone up, pitch well, and if you help this team win a World Series, everything will be forgotten.
Yep.
We'll love you for it.
He's pitching tonight against the Yankees, so we'll see. We'll see what he brings out here. And I definitely want to end this here with a quote from the end of Steve Buckley's article. He just said, quote, "If he plans on being around for a while, he can't continue like this. I'm no therapist, but it's not healthy." And it's not. He's right. It's not. Doing this and flipping out and everything is not the way to be healthy and to enjoy your life and enjoy the organization you're in. So whatever David Price says, I don't care. This is not good for him. It's not good for anybody. So either stop it, move on, or just stop talking and pitch well. I don't care. Do one of those things. That's all we got for today. Michael Stedefani, Lauren Campbell, Ethan Winter. I am Jess Thomas for your CLNS Roundtable here on CLNS Media. Make sure you check us out on iTunes, Stitcher, the mobile app, YouTube, everywhere you can go find us. We'll be here. And definitely make sure you check out tonight's pregame notes and recap for David Price's start. Thanks, everyone.
We got the recap.
Oh, yeah.